I am Chief Mrs. Remi Adioku Bakari, and you are watching Woman of Substance.
You're a journalist, of course, with a bias for soft sell that celebrates women, that talk about issues that have to do with women. How long did it take for this dream to become a reality?
There are some things that you don't have a yes or no or 1, 2, 3 answer to. There are some things that are a bit impulsive, and then when you start, you'll actually find it difficult to say, okay, when exactly? But I'll tell you what happened. I woke up on Saturday morning, and I had read the night before a magazine called Female. It was sent to me by a friend in Singapore. She knows I love magazines. So I'd read that magazine and I thought, oh, this is nice in terms of content and in terms of what is impacting. So I went to bed and I left it on the floor. I woke up in the morning and I picked it up and I thought, I could do this magazine, you know, I could do this magazine. And immediately I got into the bath and wore my dressed up and called someone on the phone. I said, Aki, there's something I need to discuss with you. Can I come over? And he said, yes, come over. So I got there. I said, I want to publish a magazine. He looked at me like, where did that come from? My husband traveled. So where did that come from? And he said, you know what? The way you're showing so much passion for this magazine will back you up, you know. So I got back, called my husband. I had called him earlier. It was at a function. I called him and he said, yes, let's do it. And that became, I had no idea how the publication was going to go, or the format, or the procedure. But I knew I wanted to publish a magazine like that.
Now, I want us to look at you as a journalist with Concord at that time. What was it like working with the likes of Dr. Doyin Abiola?
My foray into journalism was quite accidental.
Wow.
Because I read English at the university, and I had no plans. You know, like some youth, I was just like, I would get a job, 8 to 5. That was fine for me. And then I'd met Dr. Doyin Abiola at the USIS, United States Information Service. I'd met her there, and my husband knew her, but I didn't know her. So my husband said, oh, ask Dr. Abiola if you can come and work with her. I said, where? He said to me, oh, she's the editor-in-chief, National Concord. I had seen National Concord. I wasn't too much into reading papers, but I knew of National Concord. So I went to her and she gave me an appointment. And I think I saw her on a Monday and started on a Thursday. And in all, I think I did about 2-3 years at the Concord, and that was my only experience in journalism.
Did that experience prepare you in any way for what we see you do today?
No. With all due modesty, I would describe myself as being very conscientious.
Okay.
You understand? Get paid, do the job you're being paid for. And if you want to do something, go for it.
How would you rate journalism as we see it today and what it was at that time?
I think, you know, the passion and the zest to go after stories and to have a byline. You know, I don't think that is as engulfing as it was then, because you know, when the article came out and I would just see Betty Irabor, which was my maiden name, it was always fine. You know, yes. I think now I'm not really in a position to say, I can't say categorically I'm right, but I think what I would like to see is more passion. You know, people will write and then they will edit their works and they will be proud to see their bylines and they will make an effort, go
to get better at it.
To get better. You're coming from an interview, go and make some research on the person you're interviewing. You know, the internet has made everything easier.
Would you say that with what you do with the magazine, have you been able to live up to the expectation or what we're supposed to provide? Educate, inform, and enlighten?
We have. But I'll tell you one thing in life. Life is all about motion. Life is all about new discoveries. Life is all about new beginnings. And when you publish a magazine or whatever kind of business you're in, and you wake up one day and say, I've done it, that means, you know, that in terms of what you want, because you've done 1, 2, 3, 4, you think you've established, you've reached your goal. But we see our vision as a vision that is continuing on, and you know, there's nothing like, oh, we're very good now, we can stop. We keep improving. Some of the letters we get, people say what amazes them is the fact that we still put in a lot of effort, and that you would see in every edition of Genevieve.
At what mood are you always in when you come up with Morning Dew? What inspires you?
Morning Dew is it is in one funny way. Morning Dew has become like my journey. It has become like my story. Most of the things I write about are things that other people can relate to. And because of that, there is a kind of bonding between myself and the reader. I mean, people have gone through some of the things I've gone through. You know, some people have written to say, Mrs. Irabor, that story wasn't yours, it was mine. You were telling my story. You know, so because of the following, the readership of Morning Dew, I decided to put it into a book which will be out in a couple of months.
You come across to me as someone who's emotional. At what point do we have to draw the line between emotions and what we give out to people?
It's all about being honest with yourself. Do you understand? It's either I decide to write the whole story as it is. If I was writing about my 50th birthday or my son's graduation, I say it as it is. As it is. You know, for me, it's all about, it's not emotion. Okay. It's an outpouring.
How do you feel?
It's an outpouring of the way I feel at that particular time. And then when I write my Morning Dew, sometimes it takes me like 10 minutes to write it. Okay. That is when I am pouring it out. But when I want to fake it, 2 days I'm still looking for a story to write, because there are some stories that I need to tell, but sometimes I'm like, that's going too much, which could be what you're talking about, emotion, you know. At what time do you begin to hold back?
Yes.
That, ooh, don't talk about this. Oops, don't talk about this. Pretty much I've tried, but sometimes the real me comes through.
It takes me to this next one. Yeah. Of course, we know that a lot of challenges, you must have faced quite a number of them. What would you say is your most embarrassing moment?
When we started, there were a couple of editions that I was like, can't believe this. Who lets it out? And then, you know, the beauty of it all is that people still phone you. You know, it's amazing. People are actually very, very kind and generous with their comments. And maybe that's because they perceive Betty Irabor as being sensitive. So sometimes they'll lay it on me gently, you know. But I think earlier editions didn't make me feel secure. I thought, oh, you know, sometimes like, can we pull them out of the market? So sometimes I get embarrassed by all of that. Some of those. And then, you know, when I was starting out, it was easier for me to get embarrassed. But now I'm a strong cookie. And, you know, and I think everything that happens to me, I take in my stride.
Now that you talked about this, some of the additions, permit me to take us through the Yinka Jegede story.
Yes.
What happened?
I wrote, as I said, honestly.
Did you just decide to write like that?
What happens with my Morning Dew is I get up and I start writing my story.
Do you sit and think back at what happened?
That particular one was a goof.
Okay.
It was a goof. It was a story that was insensitive to parties concerned.
Okay.
And I accepted that.
Okay.
You know, and I think that was one of the first times I thought of maybe girl, it's time to pack this in. Because people were hurt.
Okay.
And it became such the reaction was from everywhere.
Was it wrong that it felt that way, that you were rather insensitive, that you had no grip about what you were even writing about?
People hurt from that. And they wrote as they felt. When you have done wrong, I think it's very, very noble to accept that you've done wrong. You know, so it was wrong, and I apologized.
So what's your relationship with the lady in question?
Oh, Yinka and her husband were the first people I called when the article came out. And I volunteered to go to their house. They said, oh no, Betty, we're on the island. So they came here, and I gave it to them. So they were the first to know after I got a few text messages.
And what did you learn from all of that?
If everything that happens to us helps us to grow, everything that happens to us helps us to learn, you know. And then what I learned there was that, you know, you cannot write exactly as your thoughts are flowing.
Yes.
That there has to be, you have to put some rein, you know, on your thoughts. That was a sensitive topic.
Very sensitive.
Yeah.
But I hope you did something along the line to educate people on the issue having to do with HIV and AIDS and how to relate to people, because it raised a lot of dust.
It raised a lot of dust. It raised a lot of dust. And then, you know, I got a lot of letters that were really, really full of hate. But you know, the funny thing, it was, maybe I needed something like that to happen before I learned the lessons that I was supposed to learn. Whatever the lesson was, I learned mine on the physical level, and I learned some on the spiritual level.
Okay, let's get a bit personal now. How demanding?
It depends on how personal
yes.
you want to get. Because getting personal
and tasking is it to be in a marriage with a man who works in the same profession as you?
Sonny Irabor actually is the star. I'm a rising star. Because if you put me beside my husband, sweetheart, he's the star.
That's where I'm going. So
yeah.
It's really helped. It has definitely helped. Him being in the limelight, it has helped what it is that you're doing now. But I know that there's no relationship, no marriage that doesn't have its other sides, even though you don't want to talk about it. Are there times that you've ever thought about walking away?
The first thing I would say is that we truly, truly were made for each other. And there are no over expectations from one to the other. And love is very important. And I'm not talking about the love that you have when things are going fine, which now turns into not love when things are going not so fine. You know, integrity in marriage, you must trust each other. You must be there for each other. And you know, it says that, you know, a bit of long suffering also. There are times that things don't work out well. You know, there shouldn't be any overreaction. You know, and then most importantly, we should love our partners for who they are, not for who we want to change them to be.
How real is the Nigerian woman? You write about these women.
Yeah. Real how?
How real are they? Some say there's a facade, they just come, everything is all right. Yet deep down inside, at home, things are not what they should be. They just come to show the world everything is fine. How real is the Nigerian woman?
I think, you know, that we shouldn't ask the question like, how real is the Nigerian woman? Because then we're talking about a whole lot of women. There are some people who are not real. Men, women, who are not real, you know, and all they know is to live in a world of make-believe. So you have those. But then I think Individually, people have issues, whether they're women, they're men, they have issues, you know. And then I could have woken up from the wrong side of the bed and I'm made up like this, and you know, I can pretend to you that everything is fine, whereas maybe my mind is going about, yeah. So it's not about being real. I think the summation for that is to thine own self be true.
What's your take on a woman who decides to seek happiness and love outside her marriage?
Outside her marriage?
Yes.
You need to come again?
I don't want to put a tag on that. What's your take on that? A woman who decides to seek love and happiness outside her marriage?
I think in marriage, there's no room for a third partner. In marriage, there is no room for a third person, especially when the third person is not your child. Marriage was made for two people. Those are the participants, a man and a woman. That is the definition of marriage. So anything else is unacceptable.
Woman of substance.